Well, Anna is now going to dive deep on a shocking turn that Marjorie MTG has made on the topic of immigration.
Yes, and to be 1,000% clear, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican Congresswoman, is still very much in favor of Trump's immigration and deportation policies. She does have a gripe with one element of it that she thinks can be tinkered with so it works a little better for Americans and American businesses. So without further ado, here's what she had to say.
As a conservative and as a business owner in the construction industry and as a realist, I can say we have to do something about labor, and that needs to be a smarter plan than just rounding up every single person and deporting them just like that.
So I'm going to give you a little more of what she had to say. She was on the Tim Dillon show as she was talking about this. And again, just want to reiterate, she is not against what Trump wants to do with deportations. She just has a problem with how it's being done because there's really no off-ramp when it comes to certain industries that rely heavily on undocumented workers. So I looked into this, and the Baker Institute did some analysis on the percentage of undocumented labor in certain industries. So this isn't it, but it's 34% of the workforce in the construction industry is actually made up of undocumented immigrants. As you heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say there, she has a construction business, so she's probably experiencing this firsthand. Approximately 41% of workers were undocumented in the agriculture industry. I don't think that's very surprising. And then undocumented workers made up an estimated 1.7 million workers in the food supply chain as of 2023. So there's a lot of undocumented workers out there, right? And mind you, when you have a situation where a huge percentage of the workforce is undocumented, they get paid under the table. They don't have to abide, or the employer doesn't have to abide by the same minimum wage standards, and that ends up lowering wages for low-skilled workers. So it's a problem for American citizens. There's no question about that. However, it's also a problem to do round a bunch of people up and do mass deportations without having like an off-ramp or a plan in place to ensure these businesses don't get completely and utterly destroyed, which would then in turn destroy the economy. So what is she suggesting here? One more video and then I'll open it up to the panel.
I'm going to speak from very real experience. We have a labor force in America across many industries that has been built on illegal labor. That's a fact. That also cannot be ignored. Right. And I'll say it like this. The same way I look at the health insurance industry and I'm analyzing, we need to build an off-ramp, but an off-ramp is gradual, right? Off of the Affordable Care Act, off of Obamacare into some sort of new system that is much better. I also look at this problem that we have with illegal immigration, that we can build an off-ramp there.
Okay, so I'm going to go to you first, Savannah, because I know this is your beat, and I'm really curious what you think about what she's saying here.
So at first, I think I had the visceral reaction of like, okay, what are we doing here, Marjorie? But, you know, I have heard the proposals that business owners should be given about a year to come in and slowly start replacing those workers who may be undocumented. Because like she is saying, if you come in and you completely upend these industries, it is going to be a problem. Obviously, we can't just wave a magic wand and get rid of this issue. It's ingrained into American society. I have heard this firsthand from many business owners as well. So I think you give an opportunity to these business owners to come in, replace that workforce, and then after a year, you know, if it needs to be 2 years, we can discuss that, then start imposing fines on businesses who are bringing in undocumented labor, because like you said, Anna, there is a very big issue with these people being underpaid. A lot of people do describe this as like, you know, like modern day slave labor, if you will. And so, you know, you need to hold the business owners responsible as well. But again, this does need to be a process that, like Marjorie said, has an off-ramp.
I love that you brought, sorry to interrupt, but I love that you brought up the business owners being fined, because, you know, there was a pretty high-profile ICE raid that took place at a California farm. It was a marijuana farm.
With the kids?
With the kids, yeah. So that story is super interesting because of the nuances in it. So there were undocumented children working at a marijuana farm, right?
Which Gavin Newsom was so like, oh, let them work.
Yeah.
I thought the kids work.
And this isn't just happening in California either. This is a big issue.
It is a big issue for sure. And so I'm against child labor, period, end of story. So I'm not going to in any way defend what that marijuana farm was doing. But there was no consequence for the employer. And I'm just like, the employer was employing not just undocumented immigrants, but child labor.
Right.
The other thing I'll say is, I think the Trump administration needs to be a little careful with how they're deploying ICE to do these raids, because there was an American veteran who was there at the farm specifically to provide security. Retez is his last name. And they rounded him up and they detained him for 3 days, even though he's an American citizen. And he kept trying to explain to them, I'm an American citizen. I am not undocumented. I'm an American veteran. And they arrested him anyway. There's also this video that came out of Chicago featuring a local news reporter. She's an older woman. It doesn't look like she was there causing problems. And in fact, after the authorities, the ICE, arrested her, they ended up letting her go without any charges. But I want you guys to take a look at this video. The New York Post actually uploaded this.
Sir, what's your name? What's your name?
Debbie Brockman, I work for WGN. Let them know.
I got you. Yep. Debbie Browning?
Brockman.
Brockman, WGN. Do you guys want to share your names too, or just going to cover your face?
Could cover your face a couple years ago. Real thing.
Okay, Mr. Condemnation.
I don't think the bystanders make the situation better. To be
Okay,
honest.
and I have to jump in
Wait,
on this story.
watch this
too.
last part though.
Get the down. No, this is some bullshit.
So they just, and then they just drive away. So like,
Okay, so one, this vehicle got in front of the ICE vehicle because they were trying to block the operation, or I guess this arrest from happening. Two, the DHS press secretary did come out and state that this woman was trying to assault federal officers.
no, that was definitely claimed. But
Okay,
then they
good.
let her go without any charges because there was no evidence.
I did see that
Yeah.
too. And you know, that is a big issue as well. It's like, okay, if we're arresting people, how do we not have any evidence that this woman was
Exactly.
assaulting ICE agents? Because, you know, there is a huge propaganda war going on right now.
There is, yep.
Especially with the ICE agents, because a lot of the protesters, a lot of these journalists that are being arrested are oftentimes being violent or impeding
I'm sure they're trying to
federal
provoke
proceedings.
reaction.
Exactly. So there is an issue with that simultaneously, and I believe a judge did just bring this forward and state that these DHS officers have to start wearing body cams. Good.
Good.
Let's see how that like, what happened with that when we started having police officers wear body cams. We had the
Change the
truth
narrative
come out.
so much.
Exactly. So I think we need to do the exact same thing
I
because
agree,
you can't be
yeah.
arresting people and then not have any evidence of what's going on.
Body cams was the worst thing to happen for BLM, by the way.
yeah.
So yeah,
And it'll be the worst thing to happen,
yeah.
you know,
All of
to all of
these-
these people attacking ICE.
What would have been considered racially charged attacks by police officers, when they reviewed the body footage, were able to see that, no, I was defending myself.
Not that they, not that BLM really
wearing
cared
cameras,
anyways.
I think wearing the cameras, it works in a positive way in two different ways.
Oh, because you kind of have to conduct
Yeah,
yourself in a
you know that you're being
It's
recorded.
a Hawthorne effect. You act
Exactly.
differently when you know that you're under surveillance.
Yeah, so I'm totally in favor of the cameras.
Also, I feel like these environments that these agents are in are very hostile. I mean, you hear them being harassed or spit on.
They are being threatened, okay? We have these
Yes.
politicians inciting violence against, inciting stochastic terrorism against ICE agents simply for doing their jobs. And frankly, I'm more sympathetic to ICE agents than I think anybody here. They are reacting to 4 years of complete dereliction of duty on the border. We had 10 million, perhaps even more, 10 million people pouring into this country. They should not be here. They just shouldn't. They broke the law. They desecrated everything that we believe in, and now they are using up our resources. That's what's happening. That is my view. And another thing I want to address is we cannot have this discussion comprehensively without addressing the H-1B visa program, which is another area in which immigrants are taking advantage, exploiting the system.
Well, corporations are exploiting the
Corporations
system
are.
for cheap
Also,
labor, right?
the
Because
people
these are
coming in-
high-skilled visas. These are people who come in from various countries. I believe
India is a primary,
is the primary
yeah.
country they're coming from, and they're essentially taking jobs from Americans in the tech sector. By the way, at a time when AI is also leading to mass layoffs among, you know, people who are newer in the tech sector.
Yes,
recent
absolutely. Here,
graduates.
I got to give President Trump a lot of credit for his recent directive. He is now charging companies $100,000 per H-1B visa program individual participant. That is a huge incentive to ensure that companies will now favor American employees over foreign
I do have
imports.
to say, Lindy, I believe that initially when that announcement was made, either it was they misspoke or they backtracked, but it was going to be per year, was the initial claim, and that's what would really create an incentive, because if you're paying $100,000 per year, there is no way that investment is going to that's going to be cheaper than paying an American worker, right? But then they backtrack on it, and now it's just $100,000 per application. Why not keep that original commitment to say that no, we're going to charge this each and every year?
It's only for new H-1B visas as well. It's not for the old H-1B visas. And then also regarding H-1B visas, oftentimes many of the people, specifically from India, there's a lot of fraud in which they have mills where they're giving out fake degrees.
That's
and
what
then
I mean.
you have,
it's not just companies taking advantage of it, it's individuals using this program trying to sneak
lot
into our
of fraud.
country.
There's a lot of asylum fraud going on as well. And if you take a peek at the numbers, because I've been doing a deep dive, I just got back from Minnesota. You have a huge Somali population there, not even to just target the Somali population, but it's a good example of how you have people who have been in the country for decades. They do not want to assimilate to the United States of America. They don't even want to speak English. They came over here seeking asylum, but then they are sending all of their money back home. And they are going back home to visit because there clearly isn't a worry about safety here. So there's a lot of fraud in our immigration system that, again, is negatively impacting our country. And you now have an entire generation of first-generation children of immigrants who, again, have no ties to our country, our nation, our values, have no want to even make the country better or contribute to it in any positive way. So there needs to be significant immigration reform in this country.
I love, like you have brought up on previous episodes as well, there's whole operations
So just explain anchor babies to our audience. It's when these women, there's a whole industry surrounding it now. Women come to the United States, have the babies, pop them out, and then they leave because now their babies are American citizens and they hit the jackpot.
Savannah,
Lindy,
you said something. Sorry, you said something that I really appreciated, because it's not really immigration that's the problem. It's mass migration without assimilation. That's the problem.
I just think it's mass migration, period.
Mass migration without assimilation. Yes, it's mass migration. I mean, but realistically, if you look at, Dearborn, Michigan literally looks like a third world country. It doesn't even look like a city in America. There are certain cities in Texas that don't even look recognizable. And
I think that's why Charlie Kirk resonated with so many people, millions of people around America. I'm just going to come out and say it. We have a culture worth preserving here. If you want to come to America, please learn English. It's the least we can ask you to do.
And can I give you guys an idea, too, of what the anchor babies in the United States of America are doing? Because I actually had firsthand experience with one in front of the Portland ICE facility. Now, this person was actually arrested because the night prior he was assaulting agents, and then he was also telling them, I'll F you up, threatening these agents. Again, just to give you guys an idea of what various ICE agents across the country are going through. Outside of the Portland ICE facility, they spray painted across the entire building, "The only good cop is a dead cop," "Shoot ICE pigs," "Kill Trump," "These people are Nazis and fascists." You have a poster they put up that says "Kill your local Nazi" next to a photo of Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck.
were any of them raided by the FBI?
What do you mean?
Were any of them
yeah,
raided
that's
by
a good
the FBI?
question. That's a good question. And then, back on July 4th, they zip-tied this building closed, this ICE facility, and tried to light it on fire with ICE agents on site. Inside. You've had ICE agents across the nation that have been getting shot at. You have these ICE facilities that are completely under siege. And again, where's the federal government on this? The fact that this is still being allowed to go on is ridiculous. In Portland, they basically have a 3-strike rule where as long as you're not arrested 3 times, third time you're going to get a felony charge, but first and second, it's just a citation. So
Well, the federal government is
Portland
sending,
isn't doing anything.
federalized National Guard troops to cities to deal with it.
I can tell you exactly why. It's because it's under Democratic leadership right now.
Yeah, like their police officers won't even do anything.
I mean, they definitely benefit in some financial way from the chaos. I feel like if they didn't, it wouldn't continue.
Well, they want to
as long
make
as it
President
does.
Trump look bad. They just
Well,
do.
that too.
Yeah,
They even have we covered it the last time the No Kings took place, the migrant alerts, where they could literally send out blasts of the locations of ICE agents.
Well, they were using the Ring
insane.
doorbell
And by the
app
way,
to communicate with people.
Those types of threats, I'm sure, is what's making these ICE agents as aggressive as they are in some of the raids that we're seeing. So it's not very smart and it's not very tactical to be someone who's against the raids that are happening while threatening, the lives of the ICE agents, because that's going to, like, honestly, it's going to get them wired and like ready to fight.
I think that's absolutely accurate. And another thing I want to say is, like, Isaac Newton is still relevant, like 500 years on, because he said, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. We are now in the reaction phase. People are extremely upset about millions of people pouring into the country, and now we are holding strong. We are finally having a citadel, finally enforcing national borders. And also, I want to remind folks what happened when you don't enforce national borders. The Roman Empire fell for a number of reasons. One of the primary reasons, though, was porous borders. They did not enforce their national sovereignty. We should learn from history in order to keep I'm very proud of this American empire. I want it to keep going. We should make sure that we do everything we can to actually shore up our country.
I just want an immigration system that works and works to benefit this country, where there's actually law and order, where there's actual justice for people who want to come here legally. That's what I want. I also want to have a little bit of fun.
What's up, guys? Amy Dangerfield here. If you liked that video and you want to watch more like it, I need you to click over to YouTube, search up Her Take, and click subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.